How's it going, everyone? Matt from BackerClub here again with another creator interview. This time we have Keith from Somni. He has his new project on Kickstarter called SomniBuds. How's it going, Keith?
Very well, thank you, Matthew.
Awesome. So, for someone that's brand new to SomniBuds, can you give us a brief overview of the project?
Yeah, sure. We wanted to solve a problem with earbuds for people who sleep. Um, Getting good sleep is becoming a very big topic at the moment, which is why all the tech giants are including sleep tracking in their devices. And we were kind of staggered at the amount of people who get much better sleep listening to audio at night.
Hmm.
I think one of our bits of research said that something like 50% of adults in America use some kind of audio, not necessarily with earbuds, but some sort of audio to help them
Oh,
sleep.
interesting.
And like 25% of them are using some sort of earbuds. And sometimes that's because of a snoring partner, or they might just have an
Yeah.
overactive mind or tinnitus or something. But the problem that earbuds have always had is that if you want to have a battery in them that lasts all night, it has to be quite big, but that makes it uncomfortable for people, especially who sleep on their side. So the project was to create an earbud that would stream all night long and be really small and really comfort. Comfort is our main one thing. That's our main thing, that we want something that's really tiny, so that
Cool.
people can get good sleep and block out whatever it is that we found that there's lots of different reasons people don't sleep well. The most common is because their partner snores, but also we
Makes sense.
get other environmental noises. But also, I'm surprised the amount of people who say, I just find it so difficult to switch off at night. So I listen to a podcast or an audiobook, and the trick actually is to listen to an audiobook that you've already listened to once, because then you
Yep.
don't get invested in the
Yep.
story. In prototype testing, we had several people saying, I'm off in 5 minutes. I never get to listen to much of it before I drift off. So that's very encouraging. So it's a good thing, but we that people can get better sleep. There's lots of quite serious health issues that have been associated with poor sleep now. So it's a good product, and we really have kind of cracked the problem of size versus battery life, which is no one's done before. So that's a good thing.
Awesome. So, can you give us like a little bit about like how? Because I know like when you first look into this project, you don't really know that there's like multiple pieces. You kind of see the earbuds, but there's kind of a backstory behind this product. So, can you explain each of the pieces that you kind of need?
Yeah. So there's three parts to the product. The first one is easy for me to show you because they're here. They're whoops. He said throwing across, which is actually earbuds themselves, which are kind of pretty tiny. They're
Wow.
very small. Um, um, these these are they look like they're just kind of passive earbuds. In fact,
Yeah.
they're smaller than some of the ones that people that sell that just block sound, that don't play audio.
Oh, wow.
And we've got a few little innovations on them to make them even more comfortable. Like, for example, there's this articulated ball socket here,
Oh,
so that
cool.
when the earbud goes
Yep.
in your ear,
And you're laying on it.
it can stay completely flat. No matter
Wow.
how whatever shape your ear is, it's always gonna, when you're sleeping on it, you just don't feel it.
Wow.
So that's the part that goes in. It blocks the sound as effectively as a solid earplug, but it also plays audio indefinitely. The other part to it is a mat, which is a soft mat about the size of a large mouse mat or a table place mat, 40 centimeters by 30 centimeters to be exact. And that holds something called a voice coil, which I'll come back to. And then the last part is the box, which we call the SomniMate, which really just holds the Bluetooth receiver and supplies the
Okay.
power. That plugs into the wall in the normal way. So they're the three components. And to explain how they work together, really, it's. I mean, you may have seen a little bit of the video that I did on the Kickstarter. Is really comes down to how a speaker works.
Yeah.
Traditionally, a speaker has a diaphragm with a coil glued to the diaphragm, and it's always been done
Yeah.
that way. The coil has to be wired, and that part, the amplifier turns the coil into an electric magnet, which pushes away from and pulls towards a permanent magnet, which is the heavy bit at the bottom of a speaker. That's the way speakers have always been made. Or what we did is switch that round. So we made the coil, the bit that's the wired part, separate, and then we made the diaphragm a permanent magnetic diaphragm. We were able to do that really because of the changes in recent technology in the power of magnets. So we had these rare earth magnets made of neodymium now that have been the driving force behind the electric car industry, for example. You know, you're propelling a huge weight of car up the road at speed, so the magnets have to be very powerful because that's what the motors are pushing against, permanent magnets. It all kind of works the same way. And that enabled us to then take all of the technology out of the earbud, and the part that makes the diaphragm vibrate then goes under the pillow or behind the headboard, and the diaphragm in the earbuds will vibrate. And the advantage of that is twofold. Obviously, it makes the earbuds super tiny, but also we don't have a battery life issue. They just run for as long as you're in bed. The downside is obviously they only work in bed. You can't. I know there's been a few people who've thought, "Oh, can I, wear these while I'm walking around the house?" No, you
Yeah.
have to be within around 2 feet of where the mat
Okay.
is, and then you're going to get the audio's at that range is louder than you'd ever want to sleep with. And
Yeah.
normally people are listening on around third volume when they're actually laid on a pillow. And they might want to have it a little bit louder in the morning if they're listening to the news in bed or something. And you don't get it's not digital, so you don't get a sudden cut off. If you sit up in bed, you can hear them, but quieter, more
Oh,
quietly. And in
interesting.
actual fact, I was playing with some different designs, and I'd left it running in the bedroom, and I was in the lounge late one night when you could have heard a pin drop anywhere, and I could still very faintly hear it in the background in a
Wow.
different room.
Yeah.
So, we're surrounded by magnetic waves all the time, and every speaker has this device in it. We've just
Yeah.
separated them,
Exactly.
but because the frequency that the voice coils work at is very, very low frequency. There's no energy in them, so they're completely safe. I mean, it's something other people worry about. I'm sleeping on a mat that's delivering energy. Well,
Yeah.
no, that is true to a degree, but if you think about, we basically, if you put on a pair of headphones, you've got the Bluetooth radio, which is much higher energy than a
Yeah.
voice coil is, and the voice coil and the permanent magnet, and you're just putting them on your head. It's exactly the same
Yeah.
technology, but just separated.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're the three parts.
Cool. Yeah. So where did the inspiration for this come from, and how long have you been working on it?
Okay, so this is a bit of a strange story, like all new things, I guess. So I'm a very keen motorcyclist, and for kind of 25 years, I've been running motorcycle tours in Europe, and they're
Oh, wow.
guided tours. And we used, even well before, most people use motorcycle communications now, ride a pillion bike, or listening to the phone or whatever. But at that time, it was quite rare. But we needed to be able to speak between the guides to make sure the person at the back,
Mm.
we haven't lost someone, they haven't got a puncture or fallen off or something. So we were looking for communications, and there's a big problem there because with motorcycles, helmets, you need to, they have there's a lot of wind noise. The wind
Yeah.
noise is permanently damaging in a very short pace of time. So you have to ride with earplugs, and then you're trying to hear speakers that are in your helmet. And the idea of having speakers there and having an earplug and then trying to get the audio through the earplug is kind of bonkers. But that's still what they do today. Even
Yeah.
now, if you went into the shops, you get a helmet with big speakers on, you wear earplugs.
Yep.
So I'd always been looking for a solution to that problem. You can't really use wired earphones because even those were a little bit too big, typically. and the wires catch on Velcro and stuff. It's not, and they flap around in the wind, and yeah, they cause other problems. Um, and then one day I was reading an article in a magazine about how Chinese children were cheating in exams, and what they were doing is they were taking effectively a voice coil, which is a thin rope like deaf people use. You might have seen, in fact, this is very similar technology. You might have seen in museums this little blue ear, picture of an ear, which means that if you've got
Okay.
a
Yep.
hearing aid, you can
Yep.
flip it on into induction mode, and it will pick up some audio for you and play it into your
Oh,
earphone.
interesting.
This, again, that's why we know it's safe technology, because it's
Yeah.
been used for years. Um, and so what they were doing is getting one of these voice coils, which is just like a little rope and a pendant that hangs around their neck, and you can
Mhm.
buy these on Amazon as exam cheating kits. And then they get a tiny little neodymium magnet. I wonder if I've got something small enough to show you. Got magnets stuck everywhere in my office, actually. Yeah. So like something that size. I don't know if you can see that.
Oh, wow. Holy
Yeah,
crap. Yep.
that's a little tiny, still very powerful neodymium magnet, and they would drop it right in deep inside their ear. And then when they're in the exam, the pendant, which was a Bluetooth receiver, they could dial out from their phone or from their watch
Wow.
and call somebody. And when the person was talking to them, they could hear what they were saying because the magnet would vibrate against their skin in their ear, just from this
Wow.
little
Interesting.
rechargeable pendant.
Yep.
And if you go onto Amazon, you can still buy these kits, as I say. And I just started thinking, well, hang on a second. If you can vibrate a magnet like that from a pendant round your neck, maybe there's a way of making a diaphragm that's sensitive enough to be able to vibrate at
Mm.
distance like that, because there's quite a distance from here to
Yeah.
here, and using it with a 3-volt battery, I mean, there's no energy in that really. And that's where it started. And the first product was, I should have brought the prototype in here, but there's it's basically 2 coils which go into the helmet where the speakers would normally go, and
Interesting.
exactly the same earplug as we use now for the SomniBuds. Um, and um, and they keep all of the road noise out, but they play the audio
Yep.
from the comm system through the speaker, and it works brilliantly. So
Wow.
I was on one of the tours that we did in Austria 2 years ago, showing them to some of the guys on the tour, saying, "Hey, what do you think of this idea?" And they said, "This is brilliant." But then one of the pillions said, "Could you do them for someone who sleeps?" And I went, that hasn't even been on my radar. Why?" And she said,
Yeah.
"Well, when I'm at home and he starts snoring, I just kick him into the spare room. But when I'm on when I'm on holiday, I can't do that because we don't have a
Yeah.
spare room. We've just got one hotel room, and I've had no sleep for a week, and I'm ready to kill somebody." So, and that's exactly where it came from. I then started thinking, well, hold on. Is there a way that we could just increase the distance? And I used some scientific AI programs to try to see if it was possible. We worked on the design of all 3 parts, really, making the earbuds more and more sensitive, making the coil work better at distance by changing the shapes and the type of wire it's made from. You have this thing called skin effect on wire, where the magnetic field only comes from the very surface. So you have to have
Oh,
lots of
interesting.
strand thin wire, all separately insulated. So we came up with this design. It worked really well. I mean, just surprisingly well. And then we did a patent search and found that nobody had thought of it. So we filed for a
Mm.
patent, and the person who did the patent for us is a doctor from Cambridge University who's worked in audio all his life, and he thought it was brilliant, and was very excited by it. So we thought, yeah, we're actually onto something. We've solved a real problem. We now have an earbud that's small enough to sleep in, and it never runs out of battery. So,
Yeah.
so
Very
yeah,
cool.
thank you.
Yeah. I like that origin story. That's really good. So now, can you talk about any environmental sustainability aspects of the project? I know Kickstarter is very big on, the environmental aspects of the campaign.
Well, yeah, we can actually, because it's really kind of an accidental byproduct of it, but it's a very significant one, and that is that all tech that has batteries in it has a finite life, because batteries
Yeah.
don't like being charged full to flat every
Yeah.
day. And the reason that some people, if they're into earbuds, they'll know that Bose had a product that was very popular, but it got withdrawn from the market because they kept failing well within the warranty time, and Bose had to issue lots of refunds.
Hmm.
Because when you have a mobile phone, you probably know you get about 3 years, and then the battery
Yeah.
starts to wane a little bit. That's that's it. The time that you get is extended in software. So if you get a phone, I'm just going to give you some numbers to make it easy, but let you say you got a phone that is capable of going on standby for 6 days. They'll only give you 4 days, and then they block the rest off with software. And then during the use for the warranty period, they start to eke into the unused bit. And eventually, then it starts to drop the time, but you don't get that
Yeah.
inside the warranty. They all do it. Apple got into some trouble a few
Interesting.
years ago for
Yep.
doing it, but they just said, no, that's what we do. Um, but when you're trying to get every last scrap of power out of something because you want to try and make it last longer than it's designed to last, you charge it full to flat, you have no spare capacity. And from the day you start using them, the battery life goes down. After a couple of years, they're not lasting at all. They end up in landfill.
Yep.
Um, and they can be expensive, and they're not replaceable batteries. So people then go out and buy another one. And it's not even like a phone where they can be refurbished. Whereas ours, technically, they're going to last you forever. They're
Yeah.
never going to end up in landfill. There's no battery to run out in them. So, as just like a radio or some other device that you plug in, they never lose capacity, and they're not going to end up in landfill. So, from that point of view,
Yeah.
it is a green product, because we're not. It's not something that we really push, but it's more importantly for the customer. They're not going to find that in a couple of years' time they've got to buy another pair.
Yeah. Yeah. I really like that take on it. It's a really good point that I don't think a lot of people kind of realize. So I'm
Hmm.
glad you went into that.
Yeah, thank you.
Cool. So can you give us an overview of the team and our partners on the project? Like how many people are working on this with you?
Well, there's I guess 4 in the main. So I mean, we have contracted people. Obviously, we have some
Of course.
marketing
Yep.
people, and
Yep.
we have our patent people. But the core team is myself, my son Charles, and a guy who was a senior partner at Ernst Young. The big management consultancy
Okay.
or accountancy firm, who I've known since we were at school together, but is a very serious and well-respected business. I think he was one of, if not the most senior partner at Ernst Young, who's our finance guy. And the reason that I've got involved with my son was because he lives in London, and in the summer he's always slept with one of these headbands that've got speakers in.
Mm.
He sleeps the windows open, but there's a lot of noise. There's
Yep.
people out all times of the night. It's like New York,
Yep. Yep.
And I told him about the product, and there's no one who likes to shoot you down in flames more than your own children. And that's happened many times in the past. But he tried them, and he just went, "These are brilliant. I've got to be involved with this," and wanted to be involved. And he's got some good experience. He was a product launch manager at
Mm.
Amazon a number of
Cool.
years, and he now works for a company called Deal.com, which is one of the biggest or fastest growing tech startups in history. So as a
Oh,
product manager.
interesting.
So yes, so it's myself, Duncan Whitecross, who's a finance guy from Ernst Young, and Tim Norris, who's worked in the audio industry for a very long time. He's as I say, he's a ex Cambridge graduate. He's a doctor. He's got a PhD in microelectronics, and he's also a patent lawyer, which was extremely handy. And he was introduced to us by the firm who did our patent for us. He doesn't work for them. He works with us now, but he was introduced because they just thought he'd be a great fit. And so the people who did our patent, which is a company called Basque, they do a lot of the patents for Cambridge University for new ideas coming out of Cambridge. So it's quite a strong team in that regard.
Cool. Yeah, I'm glad you. It sounds like a solid team.
Yeah, we
Very
have
very well
finance,
rounded.
tech, and marketing covered. They're the
Yeah.
kind of three things you want, really, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly right. Sweet. So with all the ways to launch a new idea, why did you use Kickstarter?
Um, well, I mean, that's a really good question. I think the main reason is that we really liked the idea of being able to go out to the factory with a solid order to get the price down. Because if you start making small quantities and then trying to
Yeah.
build it up, you're starting at a very high point. But also, I know that Kickstarter has been a very good platform in the past for other sleep products.
Mm,
Actually, so I mean, I'm not quite sure. We haven't done as well as we were hoping we'd do on Kickstarter. I mean, we've done very well, but
yeah.
looking at how well some of the other products have done, I don't think we've really realised our potential. But some very good things have come out of it. So we've had. I liked the idea of us getting exposure from them. I like the idea of Kickstarter being soil, if you like, for germinating new ideas,
Yep.
and we've become part of that community. You know, there's another sleep product that was launched just before us, unfortunately, but I got to know the CEO of that, and we've been talking about.
Oh, wow,
And so
cool.
we've become kind of friends and talking about how, how the system works. And so it has been, it's been a nice community. We have got easily enough orders to get a good price at the factories now. Um, yeah, it's been good for us. And we've had some exposure we've had quite a lot of contact from um, wholesalers in countries all around the world who
Oh,
want to
interesting.
actually stock the product once we've got it.
Cool.
Um, on the downside, we've had quite a lot of influencers who love the idea of the product, who work with people, some that even specialize in sleep. And they've said, we love the product, we think it's a great idea, but we need the product to be able to do an
Yep.
unboxing before we can talk to people. So I think that and we've attracted their attention, and they've been in touch with
Yep.
us. So there's been these kind of other things that have happened that have been good for us. And I think post-launch, the future is very bright for us.
Yep.
So it's a good launching pad, and we've had good exposure from it.
Cool. So I noticed that you guys have a December 2025 delivery date, which is a pretty like advanced timeline for a physical brand new product. So you guys must be basically have everything ready to go, factories lined up, everything. So how confident are you in that December 2025 delivery date?
Well, I'm say we're confident. We're not expecting anything to go wrong. If nothing goes wrong, we'll definitely hit it. Um, w- we so we have a factory that we've been to see. We have a good relationship with them. We're going out to see them again shortly, and we've decided that we're going to vlog that so that we can show to the backers, because
Mm.
there has been some. There was another product that I won't mention which one, but there's another product that we launched just before us, unfortunately, that looks like it's not going to deliver, and that, I
Oh,
think, hurt us.
yep.
Certainly looking at Reddit and things like that. So we want people to know that we're real and we've got the real product. Um, they we have the factory that we're using is a uh, they're in China, but they're also in Vietnam, so we can ship from the Vietnam factory into America with the lower tariffs, which is
Oh,
what we
interesting.
wanted, which is exactly what Apple are doing.
Yep.
Um, and they had the prototype, and they're very happy to manufacture it from that prototype. The reason you'll hear a little bit of hesitation in my voice is because what a lot of the people have asked for is active noise cancellation. Um,
Ah,
Now, active noise cancellation is something that's been a little bit off of our radar because it
yeah.
doesn't work particularly well for non-repeating sounds. It doesn't
Yeah.
work at all for non-repeating
Yeah,
sounds.
exactly.
If you've got an aircon unit in your room, or if you've got a fridge freezer because you're in a bed sit, then it is useful.
Yes.
And also, we had some interest from one of the major airlines for using Somni in business class, in flatbed class, and
Oh.
they were interested in it. So, since we launched, we've been speaking to the factory about getting an ANC chip into the unit,
Oh.
and possibly also putting in a small amount of memory to hold some colored noises like white, brown, and blue noise, all these different noises that match the noise that's distracting you, so that if people really don't want to have their phone linked to the
Yep.
system at the night, they can just use it for noises. Um, so if we're told by the factory you can have an ANC chip, but we need another 4 weeks, then we're absolutely going to do that.
Yeah.
But it'll be for that reason only.
Yeah.
If we go with the product as it is now, we can hit our timelines.
Okay.
So, but we like the idea of over delivering on the promise. I think that would be really good for building a fan base and for
Yep.
building, you know, for getting good feedback going forward. And we want this to, we're in this for the long term. We think this is a product that could really take off globally, because there's not many times something comes along that really is absolutely completely new
Yep.
and really does solve a problem.
Yeah.
And that's
Exactly.
kind of quite a rare thing. So we don't want to spoil any of that.
Awesome. Yeah. Sounds like a really good plan. So, uh, lastly, but not least, is there anything you'd like to say directly to the backers?
Um, well, yeah, I mean, the backers have been awesome. We had a strong VIP community on Facebook before we launched, which is why we managed to hit our goals. They were great. We love engaging with them, because I mean, just before launch, we even had we could see a little bit of rivalry developing, where people wanted to be the first one to
Yeah.
back, which was great to see. But we've had really good feedback from them as well. I mean, there was a lady in our comments who said, you're talking about putting it on the back of the headboard is a good place for it, and it is a good place for it. That's how I
Oh,
have mine,
interesting.
actually, because then you just forget
Yeah.
about 'em. Looks like there's nothing there, but you pop them in, go to bed, and it all works. She said, "But I've got a cloth headboard. I could put a couple of loops on there. Would it be possible to have some like ringlet holes in the mat so I can hang it on the back?"
Ah, yeah.
Absolutely, that's such an easy thing for us to do.
Yep.
So it's great that we're getting feedback, and I really like the idea of kind of building a community. So the backers, that they've been great. We've had some very generous ones. We've had some that have actually pledged to buy the product or for the rewards, and then also given us a donation because they're so keen to see the product come to life. I mean, that's amazing. Yeah, I mean, just to all of them, thanks so much, and we hope to over deliver to them.
Awesome. Well, there you guys go. Keith from Somni with SomniBuds on Kickstarter live right now. I think it has about a week left. So go check it out, get a pledge in, and thank you so much for your time, Keith.
Yeah, thanks. Nice to speak to you, Matthew. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.